What if the next medical breakthrough could change thousands of lives? Welcome to Moving Medicine Forward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on groundbreaking healthcare innovations. I'm your host, Jeremy Schrand, and together with CTI's leading experts, we explore the cutting edge of clinical research transforming patient care. Each episode, we dive deep into the stories behind medical advancements, featuring insights from global therapeutic experts who are literally changing how we understand and treat critical disease. From rare genetic conditions to revolutionary treatment protocols, we're not just discussing research, we're highlighting the human stories driving medical progress. Today's episode is a powerful one. We're joined by Audrey Davidow, president of the Pitt Hopkins Research Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to accelerating research, raising awareness, and supporting families affected by Pitt Hopkins Syndrome, a rare genetic neurological disorder. Audrey's journey is deeply personal, and her leadership has helped turn hope into action for countless families around the globe. Whether you're a parent, a researcher, or someone passionate about rare disease advocacy, this conversation will inspire and inform you. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Audrey. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
So to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved with the Pitt Hopkins Research Foundation?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm a Pitt Hopkins mom. My son, Calvin, was born in 2011. He was diagnosed a year later at 1 year old. And at that time, when he was diagnosed, there was only about 250 other children in the world diagnosed. The gene wasn't found until about 2007. So we kind of came along right at the right time to even get a diagnosis. A lot of people, we believe, are out there with older children who don't even have a diagnosis. But so we were lucky in that we were able to get a diagnosis. The downside, however, was that there was no research, no treatments. They gave us the prognosis for this devastating disease. Our child would not walk, our child would not talk. He would need lifelong 24/7 care and assistance. And there was really nothing to help him. So my family and I, along with another family, the Palkas, who had been one of the first families diagnosed with it in the world, we teamed up and we started the Pitt Hopkins Research Foundation in 2012, 2013. And here we are 13 years later.
For our listeners who may not be familiar, what exactly is Pitt Hopkins syndrome?
Pitt Hopkins syndrome is a very rare genetic syndrome. It's caused by a random mutation. So it's not inherited, but it's genetic. It's just a random mutation that happens in development in utero. It's a gene. The TCF4 gene is either mutated or deleted. That's a gene on the 18th chromosome. And this one tiny gene creates all kind of havoc if it's not working correctly. So that means our kids are nonverbal. They cannot speak. Many of them have severe motor delays or just motor issues. My son can walk a little bit, but not very well. He cannot use his hands purposefully, so he cannot feed himself or dress himself or take care of himself really in any way. He can't even hold a remote to change the TV channels that he likes to watch. It also comes, many of our kids have severe breathing issues where they hyperventilate or hold their breath until they turn blue. There's severe and debilitating gastrointestinal issues, not just, I have a tummy ache, but really things that land children in the hospital more often than not. Seizures. So really it's, someone once described it as having cerebral palsy, epilepsy, anxiety, behavioral issues, autism, and severe gastrointestinal issues all rolled into one little disease. And that's what our kids are fighting.
That sounds very, very, very challenging. So
It is.
What inspired the creation of the foundation, and what were those early days like when you were starting it up?
Well, really, I think a lot of it in part was just my grief and the way I wanted, the only way I could think to deal with that was to do something. So that's really what inspired it. And we started going and we started fundraising, and miraculously, our friends and family were so supportive. Within about 3 weeks, we had raised $300,000
Wow.
that first year.
That's
So
amazing.
yes, it was really incredible for us, just to feel the support of everybody. And as soon as people started giving us money, I felt like, oh my gosh, like we are in this. Like we
Yeah.
cannot let these people's money be for nothing. They
Right.
supported us. And then of course my son, like when the doctor said there was nothing you could do, I don't know. I guess you just don't want to believe that.
Right. Right. It's like
But
a
I was
challenge.
probably a little naive too and thought, well,
Hmm.
maybe there is something we can do. And I mean, you know, if I knew then what I know now, maybe I wouldn't have jumped off the cliff, but I did, and other people's money was at stake, and most importantly, my son's future was at stake. So you just can't stop.
Yeah. How would you describe the mission of the foundation today and how has it evolved over time?
Well, that's actually something we're really proud of at the foundation. The rare disease worlds can get a little tricky sometimes.
Hmm.
I guess all disease worlds can, but
Yeah.
especially rare disease. There's a lot of discord between in rare disease communities because some people want to focus on support. Let's support our families emotionally. Let's support them maybe with equipment and hard goods and wheelchair accessible vans. And other people really want to focus on research and like, let's get these kids treatments. So you'll see in some rare disease communities, there's actually a split. And there's one foundation that focuses on the former and one that focuses on the latter. Our foundation, we made it really clear from the get-go that we were going to be focusing on research, treatments, and hopefully eventually one day a cure. And we haven't wavered from that. And because of that, I think because we've always been really clear about our direction and stuck to our direction, there has been no split in our community. We are the only research foundation in this community. We're the only research foundation in the world devoted to Pitt Hopkins syndrome. There's no other. And I like to take that as a testament that our community is happy with what we're doing and with our work. And now we still do offer support, of course, and we have a beautiful, I spend almost several days a month talking to new families, welcoming new families into the fold, sharing advice, sharing resources. We offer support, but most of the money raised is primarily devoted to research for treatments and cures. And that's how it's always been.
Yeah, that's great. Since the funding of research is such an important goal for the organization, can you share some of the most exciting breakthroughs or projects you have helped supported?
Yes. I mean, our most exciting breakthrough by far is that our gene therapy trial with CTI and Mozzie is coming to fruition after many long years. And
Hmm.
hopefully we'll be recruiting this later this year, or early 2026. That is something that we dreamed of.
Yeah,
Something it's crazy to even be on this podcast talking to you about it because I
yeah,
honestly was never sure that it was even going to be possible. And here we are, so close. Um, and yes, it's taken a long time, but in science, it's actually been the way science moves, it's actually been pretty fast.
yeah, yeah.
That is our most exciting breakthrough. We also have several other clinical trials that are in the works, two that have been completed successfully. One that I'm particularly excited about is a microbiota transfer trial. We did the first phase and it was very successful. It was a symptomatic trial to help with our children's severe gut issues. They basically do like a fecal transplant, and it was very, very successful. My son was actually in that trial, and now we're in a phase 2 of that. And I'm really, really hopeful that this medicine will get approved sooner rather than later because it's really quite remarkable how well it helped my son in that regard. However, the results don't last, and that's the sad
Yeah.
part of a trial is then you stop getting the med. You
Yeah.
got to wait for it to be approved to be able to get the med.
How do you decide which research initiatives to fund? Do you guys have like a scientific advisory board or a specific process that you use?
We do. We do have a scientific advisory board. And we also, I would say in the beginning, we would do like a call for proposals and choose. But that has changed over the years where we now go after who we want and what we want. So we are mostly focused on gene and genetic therapies at this point. And so we're always looking at who is doing the best work in those fields. And we actually approach them and
Mm.
ask them to make a proposal for us rather than receiving several proposals of just kind of, at the beginning, we were just so happy for anyone to be researching Pitt Hopkins, period. But sometimes their proposals didn't always align with what we wanted as far as treatments and cures. It was scientifically interesting, but maybe not something that would actually translate to help our children. And that's what we're really, really focused on. So if someone sends in a proposal that doesn't have a clear road to translation, that's not a proposal we'll fund.
Wow, that's a great way to work on it. Let's go a little bit beyond the research. How does the foundation support families and individuals living with the Pitt Hopkins syndrome?
Yes, well, like I said, we have, Facebook groups, we have email. People are always emailing us for help and support. And we speak with families regularly if they ever need help or support. We've set up clinics in various locations around the country so that different doctors get to know what Pitt Hopkins really is. And our families miraculously do fly to these clinics, even considering how hard it is to fly with one of our Pitt Hopkins kids. They will fly, or some of them will make extensive road trips to be able to get there. But the main thing that we do that's really the most important, I think, and meaningful thing that we do for community support is every 2 to 3 years, we have a big conference, a big family conference. Our last one was actually in Denver, and we've had it in Chicago, all over the country. And people come from amazingly from all over the world, families from Singapore, from India, from Australia, to just kind of be together and share in the community and share in the understanding that just we all have for each other that is really hard to find just in our day-to-day lives.
What role does advocacy play in your work, especially when it comes to raising awareness for such a rare condition?
Well, advocacy is a lot of what we do, and we're always trying to raise awareness. We, partner with Gene DX to make sure that they're getting the word out for how to get more diagnoses. That's really important that doctors are aware of. You'd be surprised even now, 10 years later, 12 years later, so many doctors are still like, oh, Pitt Hopkins, I've never heard of that. So I guess we have a lot more to do in our advocacy work and raising awareness. But, we're always trying to get the word out, get on newborn screening panels, get on, increased diagnosis by working with companies like GeneDx, so many things.
Kind of speaking to that, like getting the name out there, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a rare disease foundation?
Oh my gosh, where to begin?
Yeah.
So many.
I'm sure there's a lot.
For me, the most frustrating challenge is translation. Like
Mhm.
how difficult it is to take this wonderful science that has happened in a lab and get somebody to pay attention, to notice it, and to license it, and then to actually follow through and bring it forward. And that's what's so amazing about what Mozzie and CTI are doing for us. Like, it's
Mhm.
just incredible. It's incredible. There's so much good research, but getting it to that next step is really hard and really one of our biggest challenges. The other, there's so many challenges. The other, I would say another challenge is just I'm not a scientist. So here I am running a science foundation, but I have to really have a lot of faith in my scientists and make sure that
Mhm.
I'm hiring the right people so that they're doing the jobs that they say they're going to do.
So how do you stay hopeful and motivated? You seem very motivated and very positive. So how do you keep that up?
Oh, well, I'm glad I seem that way because
Oh, you do.
I'm not, I mean, there are a lot of tough days. There are a
Yeah.
lot of tough days. And there are days where I think, is this even moving? Sometimes
Mhm.
on the day to day, you're just like, gosh, are we even getting anywhere? But I do like when you take a step back and big picture it, you know, and to see that, wow, we're coming to our gene therapy trial. And That's something I never thought would happen. Things like that, or our microbiota transfer trial is actually working, and I never thought that would happen. And when I look at that, that is very motivating. But of course, the most motivating thing is I just look at my son.
Right.
How can I ever stop when he has so many struggles? Like, I think Jess said this in her moment, like, however hard this is, however frustrating or daunting it can be on a day-to-day basis, it's nothing compared to what he deals with.
Right.
So we keep going.
Fundraising is a huge part of sustaining this work. What kind of events or campaigns have you been especially meaningful or successful?
Yes, I mean, that's the kind of crazy thing, is that most of our fundraising is truly like grassroots family fundraising, t-shirts, bake sales. One year, I'll always remember this, when we first started, this was the most amazing thing that we ever saw. A group of high schoolers did a spirit week, where all week long they did probably 60 different events, bachelor auctions and Chick-fil-A meal shares, and put your friend in jail and bid them out, and raised over $120,000 for us. And we all went down to South Carolina to this school in Greenville, South Carolina. And it was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It's always the best when community rallies around us. Those are the most incredible fundraisers, for sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I've always wanted to repeat it, but we were lucky enough to be chosen once, so I can't be too greedy.
That's awesome. Okay, so what are the foundation's top priorities over the next few years? Are there any big goals or initiatives on the horizon?
Our biggest goal is to get this gene therapy trial going. That is our biggest goal. And then we have some other genetic therapies, not classic gene therapy like what CTI and Mozzie are doing, but some other genetic therapies using ASOs and other approaches that I'd really like to get out of the lab and into the clinic as well.
How can our listeners get involved, whether they're CTI employees, parents, scientists, or just people who want to help?
Oh gosh, well, I always hate to say this, but we could always use donations. Nothing, but money is what moves this. And we always need that. So if anyone would be compelled to donate a little bit to our cause, that would be amazing. That's the hard thing about being a rare disease, is there's not a lot of people who are touched by it. So there's not a lot of people who are active donors all the time, as opposed to, say, like a cancer foundation or something like that, where almost everybody has been touched by cancer in their lives in some way or another. So you have quite a large donor base. We really don't. So to be able to get the word out to people who have probably never heard about Pitt Hopkins is a really, wonderful opportunity for us.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess I would also just say, if you meet a kid who doesn't talk or doesn't walk, and clearly has disabilities, go up and say hi and say, you don't have to talk back to me. I can see in your eyes that you're listening.
Yeah.
And just tell them about your day and interact with them.
And in the show notes of the podcast, we'll have a link back to the CTI Community Fund, which this quarter, everything that's donated through that goes to the Pitt Hopkins group.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And then before we wrap it up and sign off here, is there a message you'd like to share with families affected by Pitt Hopkins, or anyone listening who wants to make a difference?
Well, I would just say to our families that we're working hard, and there is a lot of hope on the horizon, thanks to people like CTI and the people at Mozzie and all of our wonderful scientists who I'm just so in awe of and grateful to. So, keep the hope going. We're getting there.
Well, Audrey, thank you so much for joining us today. You truly are inspiring, and all the work you're doing is amazing. And I think the world would be better off if all the moms were running everything. So you're doing a great job.
Say. Why doesn't anyone ever listen to me?
Yep, all the moms should be running the world.
They really should. Thank you so much. This was really great, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us like this.
Yep, absolutely. It's our pleasure. We're here to move medicine forward and help those that don't have treatments. That was Audrey Davidow, president of the Pitt Hopkins Research Foundation. Her passion and dedication are a reminder of how one voice and one mission can ripple out to create real change. If you'd like to learn more, get involved, or support the foundation's work, visit pitthopkins.org or click the donate link in the show notes. Every donation, every share, and every conversation helps bring us closer to a cure. Thanks for listening to Moving Medicine Forward. If you enjoy this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep moving medicine forward.